Let's do it.
Hello and welcome to Console Shock episode 25, Retro and Modern Gaming Chat with me, Trev, and Stu from Playnation Games. How's it going, Stu?
Hi there, Trev. Yeah, really well. Got a little bit of a sprain in my back, but a little bit of a muscle spasm. But you know, I'm okay. I'll handle it. I'll be okay.
Well, you know what the good news is? I didn't say your full name.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I didn't say Stuart McNeil.
Oh.
I didn't say it, Stu. It's cool. You're right.
Brilliant. Thanks, Trev. You know.
Did you get any stalkers from last time?
Well, no, but you know, people might go back to listen to that in the future. Obviously, you know, come and see some of our early work, and
probably unsubscribe at that point.
Yeah, was it bad back then? Anyway, so I think you should read out my PIN number. Maybe my date of birth.
Oh, I'm going to put that on Facebook. But anyway,
come to our Facebook page. You can get my PIN number and Trevor's date of birth.
So one thing that, I hope you would have noticed, Stu, if you do listen back to the show,
I do.
There was a bit of music added in the last one.
Yes, no, it was very good. It's very good.
Production value is marginally more professional now by about 0.3%.
Well, I like that, a little bit of music. So I think it
you
goes
up.
a long way.
Warms you up, isn't it?
Yeah. We all like music.
The listener isn't greeted with me just sort of going, hello. It's kind of a little bit of an intro, gets them warmed up. It was actually Commodore 64 music last time. So it might change. I mean, probably going to get content strike, to buggery. But we'll see how we get on.
Well, I think we should do the theme tune from the Bill.
You think so?
I think that would be good. That's what people want.
We're going to mix it up, I don't think we should just use game music. I think we should just mix it up with things, pop culture stuff, But,
that's relevant of the day.
Yeah, I don't plan this. It's just what I think when I'm editing editing it on at the end. That's when I kind of decide, that might sound good. So it'll be a surprise tomorrow. But anyway, it's just me and you today, Stu. We had Ollie Harper on last time, which was very good. Yeah. Hope we're going to get him back on again soon. We do have some guests lined up potentially in the future, but I don't want to reveal too much just to keep people excited about it. I'm sure they're like crapping themselves every time they know there's a content episode coming out. You think?
This is so much anticipation.
Actually, you know what? One thing they would be excited about is, a certain shop in Croydon that you work at.
Yes.
You got a nomad in.
We got a nomad. He walked in. Poor old fella. Yeah, nowhere to live. So we thought, well, hang on. We'll give you some money and you can sit in our display cabinet. And a few days later, someone gave us some money and we sold him.
So it's a games console.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not a homeless person. It's
what the hell is a nomad? You got to tell us.
A nomad.
Yes.
In the Sega terms,
indeed.
Right? The Nomad is basically a portable Sega Mega Drive that came out very late in the day. And actually, no, it's not a portable Sega Mega Drive. That's a lie. It's a portable Sega Genesis because it only ever came out in the USA.
Yeah, close enough.
So, it might come in Japan. Who knows? But anyway.
It definitely didn't. It was just the US.
Just the US.
Yeah.
And it was a cracking little machine. It's got a really nice screen on it. They sort of solved lots of the problems that you had with the Game Gear. Were solved with the Nomad. It had 6 face buttons, so you could play Street Fighter. Had lots of space for batteries. I think you had a rechargeable battery pack or something. So it sort of solved a few of the problems of batteries for the Game Gear had, and it's just a cracking machine. Oh, and it's got a TV out as well, so you can use it at home as a Genesis or a Sega Mega Drive.
So it's kind of cool, isn't it? And it is a little bit. There is a bit of a disclaimer you need to have when you do try and sell it or want to buy it, because it's not completely compatible with Mega Drive stuff, is it?
No, I think there's a few games that don't work with the Mega Drive. Obviously, Japanese games, they won't work because they physically won't fit into the cartridge slot. But there wasn't a general rule of, oh no, we're going to put copy protection on this one, or we're not going to put copy protection on that one. I think it was maybe, I want to say, down to the developer, down to the publisher, whether or not the games had. Yeah, much like the Xbox 360 is today.
Yeah.
Some games have region locked, and then probably most weren't, but some were.
It's really strange. We were talking about it just before we jumped on the show, and I think it's a good thing to talk about. It's coming out from how the compatibility with the Nomad is a bit weird, because it seems like it's anything before 1992 will work if it's a Mega Drive cartridge, and anything after sort of 95, which is also the twilight years of the Mega Drive. So you're missing a big chunk of the library there. So your Street Fighter 2s won't work, which is the Mega Drive version. But then we kind of talked about how the US actually got a bunch of games that we didn't get, and a lot of them are fairly obvious ones that you think would have been a simple case of releasing here and probably would have been popular. Like a few examples that I managed to find was where's one here? Let's have a look. So yeah, there was there's a few. They were a bit quirky. Like there was a Monopoly game that came out for the Genesis. We didn't get that.
I mean, that's probably a lucky escape, though, wasn't it?
I don't think we're missing out much. I
won't want to play Monopoly on a. Well, I wouldn't want to play on a console. Game. Yeah, really? No.
There's been a lot of them, though, isn't there? Like, I think most consoles got a weird Monopoly game.
Yeah, they got lots of board games, and I was never a big fan of board games on consoles. Maybe on PCs they were all right, but I think board games are good when you're sitting around with 3 or 4 other people, and that's part of the fun for me.
So there was that, and then there was a Where's Waldo, which is obviously here was Where's Wally. There was a Where's Wally game for the Genesis. Yeah, it's like I haven't looked it up on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's just you trying to find him on a screen of a recreation of a page of the book, I guess. So I think that would have done all right if it were brought out over here. It was quite popular, wasn't it? Where's Wally? Kids would have loved that. We were probably the right age, maybe, to buy that.
I think it's I can't imagine how it would have had a lot of replay value. I did see, I think the Angry Video Game Nerd, he did a video of Where's Waldo on the NES, and you can imagine. I'm thinking it's not going to be very good on the Mega Drive. So then, if you take it back one generation to the NES, that is going to be absolutely awful. And watching that video, I've got a little. It was. I mean, how many pixels were there on the screen? I mean,
you would struggle to make out anyone on that screen, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, exactly. Or how much
with the composite video connect.
Yeah, I mean, how much replayability did that game have?
It's not one that I'm going to look out for. But
no, certainly not.
I mean, the cover to it is pretty much the cover to one of the books that I remember I think I had when I was a kid. So it's literally just some kind of port of a book to a video game, which is an interesting thing.
I did like the books, and there has been lots of hidden mystery games on the PC, but now people have got much bigger monitors, and you can sort of obviously look around, you can zoom in, zoom out. So I think that genre of game is now very, very popular amongst older ladies.
So what we're saying is the increase in screen pixel resolution has opened up the object finding game.
Yeah,
so genre.
I think if Where's Waldo or Where's Wally, I was actually chatting to someone. Where's Wally is a different name in each different country.
Is it really?
Yeah, so
Obviously, not about the American one, yeah.
Because in Germany, I know it's a different name, but I'm going to make it up. You know, where's Adolf, or where's
First thing we think of, we think Germany.
well, yeah, he's a bit of a fool, wasn't he? You know,
Yeah.
wasn't the smartest cookie, that guy.
The right douchebag.
Right, I think he was a douchebag. Yeah, I think that's very well put.
I
He
dislike him a lot.
I dislike him a lot, and
Anyway, yes, German Wally.
yeah, and
Wilhelm maybe or something. Where's Wilhelm?
Wilhelm.
Yeah, that would work. But yes, it was different. It had to be good, like localized, didn't it? But that was a Genesis exclusive. One that I wished came over here because I'm a bit of a Trekkie. Is Star Trek: The Next Generation. Came out for the Jenny, came out for the Super Nintendo, and we got the Super Nintendo version, which is weird. We got that. I've got a copy of that.
On the Mega Drive.
So there was a Star Trek: The Next Generation game. There was a Genesis version. Yes. And there was a Super Nintendo version of the same game. We got in Europe the Super Nintendo version, but we didn't get the Genesis version.
Right, okay.
But we did get a Star Trek Deep Space Nine game on the Mega Drive in the UK, which is weird because if you're going to release either or, you'd probably release the Next Generation one because that's got more popular and people tend to know about. More people watch that than Deep Space Nine, like mainstream. I
mean, I could probably tell you at least 2 facts about the Next Generation, and I could tell you no facts about
Deep
Space Nine.
Not a bad game as well, you know. It's actually all right.
I didn't want to play it because I hadn't played the first 8 Deep Space games.
And the sequel, Deep Space 10.
Yeah, I missed Deep Space 10.
We've got a few games did Deep Space Nine, funny enough, which is odd. The best one is a third-person shooter on the PC called The Fallen, if you're interested in that, which you're probably not. But yeah, we didn't get that, which is annoying. So you got to grab, and that is also region locked. So if you're a Trekkie and you want to play Mega Drive based Star Trek action, yeah, you're gonna have to go for Deep Space Nine because the Genesis one won't work without the CD or action replay or whatever it is that you can use to convert. You play Jenny games. And another interesting one, which was actually a popular home computer game over here. By that I mean, like, you know, the Spectrum and the Commodore. Midnight Resistance.
Right, now was that based on a film or something?
I don't think it was, but it was like sort of like Contra, I think, is the closest thing I can think of. But it came out on the Commodore and the Spectrum over here.
Yeah,
it was quite a popular game, but it came out on the Genesis in America, but we didn't get a Mega Drive version, which is rather strange.
I think with the Spectrum, to release a game, there was little to sort of no risk because obviously it didn't cost a lot to produce, and you could, you know, make a cheap port and you know, chuck it out there on the market. But I think with the Mega Drive games, you know, they had the relatively large license fees you had to pay for each game. So maybe they just thought,
no one wanted to pick it up.
Because when you said Midnight Resistance, I'm like, oh, I don't really know that. I can't picture it. I don't know much about it. So for me, playing Midnight Resistance, though, it does sound like a very good game.
I think Contra is a bit better, if I'm being honest. Yeah, which also came out on the Commie and the Specky.
Did it really?
Yeah, it's called Gryzor on those, and it is really annoying because it's the Spectrum version is the best port, and Larry Bundy, who was on the show not long ago, actually does a little review of it. You have to press spacebar to jump.
Oh.
So you can imagine how difficult that would be with a game like Contra. But yeah, obviously we got a censored version of Contra as well, Probotector.
Yes, that's right.
On the NES over here, and also that they kept that name for the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo Probotectors and the Game Boy one. Game Boy one's very good at actually. But yeah, Midnight Resistance. Another interesting one is Batman Return of the Joker on the NES. That got a Mega Drive version. It was called Revenge of the Joker on the Genesis, but we never got it in the UK. So yeah, we did get Batman games, but we just didn't get that one, strangely enough. So yeah, if you like that, I think we got that. I think we got the NES Batman Return of the Joker. over here. But yeah, the Mega Drive, the Genesis version we never got, which I think probably would have sold all right. I think.
I'm sure anything with Batman would have sold. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few others as well. Toxic Crusaders, if anybody remembers that cartoon. That got a game. It was on the NES as well, but there was a Genesis version. We never got the Mega Drive. We never got a Mega Drive version. One that I wish came over was Battletoads and Double Dragon, which was made by Rare. We got the NES version over here.
I was going to say, yeah, we've definitely had one of the versions.
Yeah, you must have got that in there. Did you ever got that in the shop?
We've had it in a few times, yeah.
Yeah, it was on the SNES as well. I'm not sure we got the SNES version, but there was a Genesis version of that, and we never got that on the Mega Drive. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. And I think we chatted as well about there's actually examples of stuff that we got that Americans didn't get on consoles.
Hold on. I've got these here. I can answer this one, Kev. Premier Manager 91, Premier Manager 92, Premier Manager 93, Player Manager 91, Player Manager 92. Am I right?
You're not far off, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought so.
So actually, yeah, they got a couple of really at the end of the Genesis sort of / Mega Drive life. They also got like a NBA Live 98 and Madden 98 and NHL 98. We didn't get them at all. I think 97 was the last year we got any of them on the Mega Drive. And they also had a bunch of baseball games that we didn't get. I think World Series Baseball, which ran all the way up to 98. So that was really late in the Genesis life. We didn't get any of them. They came in like weird cardboard boxes as well.
Oh, were they the 10-gen?
No. They were Sega. Sega made the World Series Baseball games.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so they came, but yeah, there were some Genesis games that came in weird cardboard boxes. They look the same with the red strip down the left and the Genesis, which I always think looked very nice. But yeah, some of them came in cardboard boxes, which is strange. Have you not seen those in the shop?
Right, I've seen there's plenty of the games that were made by 10-gen, which was Atari's other secret brand. Well, I don't think it's quite a secret, but
to make more games. Yeah,
to make more games. I remember they came in sort of cardboard boxes and they had different shaped cartridges, and they went around the lockout chip. So I don't think Sega was too impressed about that. But they're the only ones that sort of spring to mind, other than obviously Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, 32X had some weird like cardboard.
Yeah, they had it, and then there was.
Didn't they all work?
What's it? Knuckles? Not
Knuckles Chaotix.
No, what the Mega Drive Knuckles game?
Oh, Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, Sonic and Knuckles. That was the one. Yeah, that came in a cardboard box,
which is really, really irritating. Yeah, I think all the 32X games were in cardboard. I think they made clamshell.
Yeah, they're all in cardboard. Yeah,
they go for quite a lot now. I mean, CEX, that wonderful game shop that we all don't like talking about.
You don't go in there, do you, Trev?
Never. I prefer to go into Playnation Games in Croydon, where I get great prices on video games and trade-ins.
You didn't trade anything in.
I didn't.
No.
I did come down to the shop, didn't I? Actually, we'll probably talk about that later. Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to tell you right now. Charge for 32X games on CEX. So let's just take Mortal Kombat 2. I think it's fairly common. How much do you think? How much do you think that is worth?
I'd probably this is box. Oh god, I would do it around the £30 mark. This is me just guessing. I'd probably have to do a little bit of research, but around the £30 kind of mark. It's not one of the top games, though. I should tell a lie. It is a top game, and it's one that I would probably want to try and get on there. But common, it's not one of the rarer games. Yeah, a little bit more common.
£60.
Oh,
that's what they charge for it, and that's not that's nowhere near the most expensive. I mean, if I just sort by price high to low, Oh my god, T-Mech, which is like a sort of a mechanoid robot. You're inside like a mech, going around a sort of a landscape, flying up another mech. I think 900 quid.
900.
900 quid. Yeah,
That must have been come out in a huge, extremely small amount.
must have done. Yeah, Primal Rage, 700 quid.
700.
Primal fucking Rage. Yeah. Which is insane. For a boxed 32X, they're charging 195 quid. And the image they've got of it is a picture of the American 32X box. So, yeah.
So I think the last one we did was maybe about £100 box, something like that. Not a huge amount.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they're not going to be dirt cheap like a Mega CD, because it's kind of become a bit of a... it didn't sell very well. It sold far less than the Mega CD, I think, which kind of managed a couple of million. So naturally, the games are going to be less prevalent, and the actual unit is going to be less prevalent. I mean, I don't have one personally. Have you got a 32X?
No, I've never wanted one. I'd literally get it for, to be honest with you, virtual racing,
Virtual Fighter.
Well,
that's probably it, I think.
I've got that on the Sega Saturn, so
yeah,
and that'll be the better version. Where a lot of people actually say that the virtual racing on the 32X is better than the Sega Saturn version.
I like the Sega Saturn version. It's weird, but I like it.
Yeah, I think it was almost made by JVC or someone.
Time Warner, yeah.
Someone else, yeah, that was it. Time Warner made the port, so it's completely different to. Well, it's not completely different. It's just not the original game.
I thought that was really odd when I saw it like being released, because it had all this Time Warner like branding on the box, and I was like, "What? This is a Sega game though," and it was on the Saturn. So I don't know why Sega decided to license it out. Maybe they were too busy like trying to convert Daytona and Virtua Fighter to the Saturn, so they thought, "Oh, we can't fit this one in. We'll have to sort of license it out to someone." It's not bad, actually. It's not super close to the arcade, really, but it's not a bad version. I haven't played the 32X version a lot, so I can't say if that one's better.
But you haven't got a 32X, have you?
No. I've never, like you, I've never had any. There's nothing on it. Maybe Star Wars Arcade. Maybe.
Star Wars, actually, the other one is Sonic and Chuckles. I've always wanted to get that.
So what you mean, Knuckles Chaotix?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Knuckles Chaotix.
Sonic and Chuckles.
I think that's what I call it in the shop. Yeah. Oh yeah, Sonic and Chuckles. Yeah, no.
Yeah, close enough.
That, I always say. Yeah. And say it with a straight face. And
yeah, I think the Sega's the Mega CDs are much better. If you're going to buy one of the add-ons, that would be the one I'd tell people to buy. There's like way more games. They're a lot cheaper. Yeah, sure, a lot of them are just cartridge ports, but there are some good, unique games on there. Like Snatcher's obviously the one that everybody talks about. So that's the one that I would recommend to people to get, and they're pretty cheap, I think. Still for a working one. Yeah,
they're not too expensive, and I mean things like Final Fight on there. What else comes to mind? Sonic 3D.
Got Monkey Island on it, I think, as well, isn't it?
Monkey Island, I didn't know that.
I think that's another one of those actually that only came out in America.
Right, okay.
Yeah, you can get the Secret of Monkey Island on it, and I guess I think it's pretty similar to the Amiga version.
Right, okay.
I think it's got a bit better sound. I think there might have been some voice acting on it. So if you're a fan of that, that's kind of a nice, easy. It'd probably be a bitch to control it though, if you have to use the joypad. But you've also got. There's a sequel to Another World.
We had that in quite recently, actually.
I think that was America only as well. I think.
Yeah, there was Out of This World 2. I can't remember.
It's like the Heart of the Alien, or something. Or it's something like that.
Yeah, I remember. I think on the Retro Hour, the fellas on there were talking about it, and I'd never seen one. And by chance, I think on that day when I was driving into work, listening to the Retro Hour boys. It was almost like an hour later, it got traded in, and I was like, "I've never seen this before in like 8 years of having the shop." Then I hear about it, and then 2 minutes later, or an hour or two later, it pops up right in front of me, and get it traded in. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it never came out over here. I'm just looking at it now. It's
No.
it only came out in the US. Another odd decision is it was the first game was made in Europe.
Well, yeah, it was a French publisher, wasn't it? I want to say Daphne,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Daphne or
Delphine, yeah.
Delphine, yeah, Delphine
Yeah.
Productions, and but I always assumed that Flashback was the sequel.
Yeah, I think that's what we all think, isn't it? But no, there was actually. But it looks like he didn't actually. The dude, Eric Chahi or Chahi, what are you butchering his surname? He's the sort of the dude that's responsible for the first game and Flashback. He wasn't involved. It was made without him. But I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for it. He says Interplay insisted in making the sequel in order to make the most out of the CD-ROM medium's capabilities. After discussion, I agreed. Rather than making chronological development related to the first story, I decided that redesigning the game from the alien point of view was excellent and would make the player discover another world in other eyes. Okay, it looks like he kind of was involved. Okay, there he says, quickly after it was released, he made a public statement that the title did not represent his vision of the world, and he disowned it altogether. So he kind of, I guess, it got taken. The creative process got sort of taken away from him, innit? And that pissed him off, and he sort of decided to not do it, to disown it. So yeah, that's what happened with that. So yeah, that's another one that didn't come out over here, but came out in the States. So yeah.
How does it work with? I should know this, but is the Mega CD is that region locked?
I think it is. Yeah, it's weird. If I actually go, yeah, it is. I think you need. There was a cartridge you had to get to unregion lock it, called the CDX.
Yeah, we've had that in a few times actually, and I've always assumed that that's the memory card, or actually I think I did know the answer to my question now thinking back.
Yeah, I think you could still play like burnt CDs on it, but they have to have like the region coding on it, otherwise it won't work. It's not as easy to do as like a CD32 or a 3DO, where it's this very, very easy to burn discs and or a chipped PlayStation. So yeah, you need to get a CDX. I think it was made by the Action Replay guys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Daytel.
Yeah. And it slots into the Mega Drive cartridge port, and it provides the it unlocks it. But yeah, it's weird because a lot of the early CD-based consoles, there was no like region locking really. Another one, actually, a unique one, is the Eternal Champions actually got a sequel. If you remember that sort of beat 'em up on the Mega Drive, Eternal Champions, was a very good beat 'em up actually.
I don't think it was a sequel. It was more like, wasn't it Eternal Champions? I don't know. I want to say the champion
from the dark side.
Yeah, it was more like a, Super Street Fighter 2 over Street Fighter 2 with a few extra characters and a better soundtrack rather than actual sequel.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of halfway between what the sequel might have been, because a lot of the same all the same sprites were used and all that.
Right.
But they just added more, and there was backgrounds, but they added in the extra characters and added more like fatalities and stuff. I've never played it, but I played the original a lot.
Yeah.
I actually preferred it as a Street Fighter back in the day, because you could kind of do a lot more to customize it. There was a lot more options and stuff, but yeah, it got a sequel. It was just on the Mega CD. That did come out in Europe though, but that's just like that was just a Mega CD exclusive. So yeah, I would. You have a lot. You must get a few Mega CDs in the actual unit itself.
It's funny, we get lots of the actual consoles in, but I wish we got a few more games in for it, because we just seem to have. There's that sort of twin pack. We have the one with the 5 Mega Drive games on it, and then now and again we get a few good ones, but they just get snapped up so quickly. And there's even a few games. I'm sure you know this, but it's more for the people who don't. But there's a few games you actually need the 32X and you need a Mega CD.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's about 5 or 6.
I want to say Scotty, Pippin.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one that comes to mind. But I know there's about 4, 5, 6 of them, something like that.
Yeah, there's and some games that already released had an enhanced 30 CD 32x CD version, like a Night Trap. They re-released it. And it's
did they
basically
really?
video. Yeah, you can there's a 32x CD version,
Yeah.
and that just basically has better video
Right.
quality.
Okay.
It's closer to the 3D version. Which has very good video quality and a PC. That came out on everything, actually. I didn't realize how many things it came out on. There was like a Mac version, and there was, I don't mean like just on Steam, they've re-released it sort of thing. It was actually back in the 90s, they released a Mac version, a PC version. There was loads of versions.
But they're releasing it again now, aren't they, on the PS4?
Yeah. There's like a HD sort of not a remake, literally the original, just released with much high quality like HD video, which is great. I think I want to get it.
Yeah, cause, I mean, I never played it. I think I was a little bit for one. I never had a Mega CD, and by the time I had one, it was a case of oh no, all the FMV games they're all rubbish, and you're not really controlling anything. Oh no, they don't get them. So I don't think I've really ever played any actual sort of 32x FMV style games, really.
Yeah, no, I'm playing a lot of the FMV games. They're quite poor, I think, most of them. But I think the best one is Night Trap. So if you had to play one, that is the one to play. Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know how many copies there are. Have you seen those 32x CD games that use both?
We've had a few in. I just mentioned Scottie Pippen because that's the one that I remember. But I'm sure there must be. Well, we've never really had any more than that, but they're the ones that sort of spring to mind.
Yeah. So I would recommend the Mega CD, probably the Mega CD 2 over the. Even though I do like the Mega CD 1, though. I do like the fact that, yeah, it's like a bit. Obviously, it's not great for if you've got a limited on storage space, but it just looks cool. A big sort of unit thing that you stick under a Mega Drive, and it's got the sort of motorized tray that comes out and all that stuff. But it wasn't long before the Mega CD 2 replaced it. It was literally a matter of months.
Well, it was a case.
How many of those sold in the UK?
I don't think it wasn't a replacement. It was a case of, well, you had the Mega Drive 1 and you had the Mega Drive 2. So if you had a Mega Drive 2 and you wanted the Mega CD, well, it did work. They did work together, but then it didn't look like one complete unit. So
no,
you had to get a Mega CD 2, and then they had a little sort of plastic thing. So if you had a Mega Drive 1, and then you got a Mega Drive, a Mega CD 2, then there was a little adapter, so they could sort of work together and look as one unit. So I think I'm sure the Mega CD 2 was cheaper to make because it didn't have the sliding tray and all of that. It just had a sort of spring-loaded.
People would always lose the bloody block at the end as well, wouldn't they? Because the one I've got doesn't have the extender, so if I put a Mega Drive 1 on it, it sort of overhangs. It's not dangerous or anything. It's kind of solid as it is, but it just looks weird. But I don't use. I find it annoying to set up because you have to have two adapters and all that stuff to be able to use it. Although there is a company that makes an adapter that powers both of them now.
I was actually going to say that there's something you it's sort of one plug and it's got two leads going out. So I think actually you can power all three. So you can have the 32X, the Mega CD, and then the Mega Drive all in one and all powered from one power lead. So it just saves a hell of a lot of wires and plugs and things like that. So
yeah. And I think it's not a professional company that made it, or just some person that sort of did a Kickstarter or something. I think
you get lots of people who they come up with these great ideas, and I've bought a few of them, but they're literally one guy who's an engineer sort of making them in his bedroom, or maybe in a small sort of storage facility.
It's something like
Seems
that.
to be. And
Yeah.
they cost something like £15-20 each, and there's always a little bit of a wait for them, but they're always very well built when you do get them.
Yeah, and I think it sells out every time whoever it is releases these adapters. But when I've got a Multi-Mega, I've mentioned it before. That's just the best. That's just the best one.
You always tease me, going, "Oh, by the way, Stuart, I've got a Multi-Mega and you haven't."
The best Mega Drive that you can get, and you get the Mega.
Yeah, I know, Trev. Yeah, you keep on telling me. It's the best one. Yeah.
It's great.
It's
It's great.
small,
Everyone should buy one. Go out.
It's all in
Go out
one,
and buy
isn't it? It's all in one. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Jealousy is very unbecoming of you, Stu.
Yeah. Thanks. Keep on mentioning it, Trev. Thanks.
I've said this about 6 times already on the podcast, but is that something you're getting in the shop? Have you seen those, or
we've had a few in. I've always wanted.
I think they're mega rare, really. Are they? I've not seen them pop up on eBay. Not like hundreds, but there's always a few dozen or a couple of dozen.
Yeah, if I wanted to order one now, I could go onto eBay and get it. I have to pay for it. I pay a lot for it, but there's always one on this. It's like the Panasonic Q. I've always wanted one of those, but I can get one if I want one. It's just I keep on waiting until they go down in price, so they're really cheap, and then I'll buy one. But of course, that doesn't happen. They go the other way, and they go more and more expensive. So
they're kind of in that. I think eventually, like, collectors will buy them all though, and they'll be kind of difficult to get hold of at that point. But it seems like people are just selling them still at the moment that aren't massively, obviously they've seen what they go for, sold listings, and they've gone up a little bit. But I mean, they were mega expensive when they came out. Mega expensive when they came out. There was £400 or something, which is ridiculous. And this is only a year before the PlayStation 1 came out. Which was actually cheaper.
But it was kind of a. It could also be used as a portable CD player, couldn't it? Something like that, or.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you could plug some batteries into it. I mean, it's a fairly chunky portable CD player, even for that time.
And what was it called in the US? A different name in the US, a different name in Japan as well.
It's called the CDX in the
CDX.
US. Yeah.
And then what was it? And in Japan, it was called the.
I don't think they got. They didn't get an actual Sega produced one. They licensed it to someone.
That's right. Wondermega.
No, that's something else. The Wondermega is something else. The Wondermega is an all-in-one Mega Drive, and not a portable one like the Multi-Mega. Just a regular sized Mega Drive and Mega CD in one. The Wondermega. But yeah, that is a thing as well. Quite a cool looking thing, actually.
Yeah, I'd love to get one of those. They're not cheap.
Yeah, they should have. Didn't release them over here, but it wasn't Sega, was it? It was like JVC, I think, who made it.
These Multi-Megas on eBay, they're going from 349, 399, 549 box. Oh god, they're not cheap. 374, 450.
Yeah. Is it worth it though? I mean, I'm not sure it is. I mean, if you're a collector, obviously you'll go crazy over quirky sort of stuff like that. But I don't think you're getting any better. I think if you were going to get some kind of an all-in-one, it will be a Multi-Mega. They got loads of funny stuff in Japan. They got the Megajet.
Well, that was the thing for airplanes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was almost like a Nomad that we've already talked about, minus the screen. So you sort of plugged it into a telly, but you kind of held the actual unit, had a joypad on it. And you put the cartridge in the unit, almost like those Mega Drive controllers you've got now that are basically the controller has all the hardware in it. You just plug the controller into the telly. It was like that, but sort of a chunkier 90s version. I think, yeah, you're right. It was used on airplanes. On like the seat in front of you would have a TV mounted on the back, which obviously they still do now. I think it was a Megajet.
Yeah, to keep the kids entertained and things like that. So, no, it's a pretty good machine.
And I think they released it as a retail kind of thing as well. It was kind of started off as this, niche thing, custom thing for a plane, and then they actually just released it. You could actually buy it in a shop. I mean, we never got it though.
To be honest with you, I'm thinking, well, I can't imagine it would have sold. I mean, because you would have needed a TV. So why wouldn't you just get a normal Mega Drive?
Yeah, and they probably saw the sales of the other add-ons, and like and maybe the Nomad in America. I'm not sure if it was about the same time as the Nomad. Might have been a bit before it. And so they probably thought, you know what, no one's going to buy that in Europe. But that's something that Sega did though in the 90s. They weren't afraid just to chuck some random device out and just with no kind of precedent for if it's going to sell, and just see what happened. And we got some of that. Well, actually, it's just kind of we got the Wondermega's only one, I think, really. And well, we got that. There was that Sega Pico thing. You remember that?
Well, I'm aware of it, but I've never played it or really seen one in action. But the graphics on there is basically a Mega Drive. I want to say more with an educational slant. Yes,
it is. Yeah, it's a weird kind of like vibrantly coloured unit that you kind of stick this weird electronic book on, which is the game. And then I've never seen one in real life. I know you could get them in the UK because I remember that the Special Reserve catalogue, that Games Club, we talked about that as well. They like heavily like advertised it for a good few months. So like put all kinds of deals on with it. There's about 5 games like these Sonic. There was sort of Sonic themed educational learn to spell and sort of shit. But yeah, I think it was just a Mega Drive adapted into a weird educational custom thing. But apparently that kept going till about the mid 2000s or something.
Really?
Yeah, I was reading about it. It went on. Okay, I'm just gonna paraphrase now. I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, it went on for like for ages, more longer than the Mega Drive ultimately did, and it kept getting like new stuff for it, like well into 2005 in Japan. It got discontinued. So yeah, it's really, really weird.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so there was that, I guess, but does that count as a? Well, it's a Sega hardware, so if you're a hardcore Sega fan, you got to go out and get yourself a Pico or Pico, whatever it's called.
And Sega also, they brought out obviously the much discounted, bare bones Sega Genesis 3.
Yeah, in America. Yeah, we didn't get that, do we at all? Yeah.
It was probably a lucky escape because it was really, I think it was very poorly built. It didn't have RGB out. It didn't.
Yes.
It was.
Some games didn't work on it.
Yeah, it's a system on a chip type, very cheaply made. I can't imagine it weighed very much at all. So I think we had a lucky escape.
Yeah, it was kind of, didn't Sega, it wasn't actually Sega really, was it? It was like they licensed the Mega Drive kind of, I don't know, design or something, or, schematics to Majesco, I think is the company in the US.
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually Majesco that went and built these things and sold them. They put all the Sega branding all over them, but I think they did the donkey work. Sega just let them get on with it, and they probably took some kind of fee. So it's not technically Sega made, but it is. It's kind of weird. And they also re-released the Game Gear as well around the same time as the Genesis 3. You can tell if it's a Majesco Game Gear because apparently the screen is a bit better.
Oh, that's interesting. So when it came to the Mega Drive, they managed to make a worse one, but when it came to the Game Gear, they actually improved it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know if it's a Majesco one because the start button is purple instead of sort of blue. They obviously got the mold for that button, but couldn't get the color or something. It looks the same. It's still the same design, and they didn't make a mini one or anything. It's identical, apart from the start button is sort of purple. And that there's the screen sort of assembly bit, and there's like the little Game Gear logo in is it at the top right, and it has 3 little colors on top of it, like 3 little oval shaped. And that's kind of the Japanese Sega Game Gear logo, but they kept it worldwide. That's just white. It's normally like red, green, and blue with the Game Gear text underneath it, but it's just white. Those things. Yeah. And there was also the Kids Gear, which you might have seen.
Kids Gear?
Yeah. It's like a Japanese version of the Game Gear. They tried to re-release it in 1998 or 97 and like remarket it to kind of try and push a few more. They probably had a bunch of like parts to the Game Gear in a warehouse and thought, "When are you going to need to sell this shit?" So they cobbled together like a fancy Game Gear, which had a funny looking shell that had all Virtua Fighter artwork on it, and they called it the Kids Gear, and they bundled it with the sort of Game Gear Virtua Fighter game that came out.
Don't look on the internet, but if you wanted to buy on a Buy It Now a boxed Kids Gear, how much does it go for?
In the UK?
Well, this is coming from Japan.
I can imagine no one would have wanted them in Japan, so that I would think that Sega was sitting on piles of them. 60 quid.
60 quid, okay.
Maybe I'm not going to 20 on top of that.
I'm not going to give you any points. There's one going on here for 196, 256.
Oh god.
There is an unboxed one for 86, then 231, 172. It's unbelievable.
That's ridiculous. And it's just a Game Gear and a fancy shell. I think there's no the screen ain't better or anything. It's literally. I really like the Game Gear. I'm quite a big Game Gear. I'm a Sega fanboy, so of course I do. But yeah, the only variant I'd ever be interested in is the blue one that came out in America.
There's a red Coca-Cola one.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there was a few in Japan. There was a yellow one in Japan as well.
Yeah,
and there was another kind of red one. But in America, they got a blue one. That was the only color variant that anywhere that isn't Japan got. They got a Sega Sports branded one. You got like Madden and like a baseball game or NBA or something with it. But yeah, you got it was blue. But they're not particularly rare, really. You can get they're not massively common. They're more expensive than a.
I've seen the blue ones quite a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, you're still looking at maybe 100 quid. Maybe that's me pulling that out of the my backside. I haven't looked for a while. But that's the one that I would get. But and I've got a Game Gear, but I think the capacitors have gone in it. It just turns on and I just get nothing on the screen. It lights up, but there's nothing. I think it needs to be like that. Is the thing, isn't it? The capacitors fail, and you got to get them recapped. So I might be down to your shop to get that done on mine. But to be honest,
John can do that
as hell. You probably get a new one. To be honest,
I always say to people, they come in looking for a Game Gear. I say, just go on eBay, get one that says refurbished.
Yeah.
And because people bring them in and it's like, oh, it doesn't work. Oh, I'll leave it with you then.
If they haven't been recapped already, there's time bombs.
They're just, they'll either have no sound and a faint picture, or no picture and no sound. I mean, either way, you're stuffed.
And that's not if you haven't looked after me. My one, I actually bought my current one that I've had since about the late 90s. Was actually I bought it new from Telegames because I had a Game Gear when I was a kid, like when it was prominent, and I sold it or swapped it for something. And I got about 3 or 4 years later, when I was in my teens, I was like, God, I really want one again. So I got one from Telegames. So it's this shop in the UK. They make games as well, but they also have lots of new stock of old consoles. Maybe not these days, but well into the 2000s, you better get a brand new like boxed Jaguar or a brand new boxed 3DO from these guys. They're just like stockpiled on shit. You'd pay like things were when they last were commercial. Like a 3DO would be like, I guess, about 150 quid from these guys when that was the last official kind of price it had. But you're buying it new, so you kind of would justify it. But I got a Game Gear from them, and it was about 100 quid in like 1998 or 99 or something. And yeah, it's that, and I really looked after that, and it's the capacitors have just gone. So they're just ticking time bombs really, and I think it's an easy fix, isn't it? I think you just you have to solder stuff, I think so. But I think
it's easy enough to do this. You send it off to people on eBay or other websites, and they can just do it for you. Not a problem at all. But talking about Telegames, I did buy a.
Are they still going?
I'm actually on their website now, and I not quite sure what they're trying to sell here, but it's just lots of old games. But I bought a TurboGrafx from them, and it was the PAL It was
Oh yeah,
TurboGrafx, but the PAL version.
Yeah.
And it's quite unusual because it had a sort of a AV out, and
Didn't they give you the converter for it to play like NTSC games or something? They actually
no,
gave that to you in the
it plays
box.
you sent NTSC games, no problem. But there was another box with some sort of funny extra leads in it, and
Yeah.
and things. So it was, I believe in America they were black.
The AV booster,
then,
I think. Yeah, you got that with it, I think, because you had to because of the weird connections. Yeah.
Yeah, but the American one was black and ours was grey, and the American one had no AV out, and ours had an AV out socket. Because I was watching a video on it, and I think it was by GameSack, and they were going, "Oh, you can do a really good AV out mod." And I was thinking, I've got mine plugged into my TV with an AV out. What are they talking about?
Yeah.
So obviously, I looked at the comments, and I think I wrote a comment in going, "Oh, I've got the PAL version that has AV out as standard," and of course 3 other people have said the same thing. "Oh, I've got the PAL one. It's got AV out on it, and you get a better picture." But they've gone into it and made it the PAL version, so they made everything 17.5% slower or whatever.
Yeah,
so TVs.
I know in America with the TurboGrafx 16, you had to get something called, it had like really crap like RF video out or something as standard on the unit, and you had to get something called the AV booster, which is an extra unit that you had to put onto the back, like a huge thing, and that gave you like component or composite out and all that shit, and sort of stereo sound. And I don't know if that was kind of built into the PAL one, but I never remember seeing it like in a shop, or like in the early 90s when I guess it would have been. I don't even know when it came out. I have had I do regret it because I used to have a PC Engine Duo, which is like the best one.
Oh yeah.
And I got sold it, which is like really stupid because they're awesome, and I want to get another one, but now they're about 3 times the price. It was actually the PC Engine Duo R, which is the white one,
right?
Which is the slightly newer one. I think the best one to get is actually the Turbo Duo, isn't it? The American one.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that isn't because you have to get. They won't run the PC Engine cards, will it, without a converter?
That's it. I've got mine modified to play the Japanese game.
You've got a turbo.
No, I've got TurboGrafx, just the normal one, but I've got it modified to play the Japanese games.
So you've got you've just got the TurboGrafx. You haven't got the Duo or anything.
No, just the TurboGrafx. Yeah, no CD add-on or nothing like that. No.
Does that work with the PAL one? I wonder the CD add-on.
I'm sure it would. I don't see why not.
I don't think they changed the ports or anything, did they? So I guess it would just plug in. But does it need that? I guess it needs its own power unit, doesn't it? So maybe, you just get a step down converter.
Get a step down, yeah, something like that. I mean, there'll be ways around it. It'll be a bit of a pain, but
yeah, I mean, there is some good games. I mean, I really like my favourite TurboGrafx / PC Engine game is I did like Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. It's actually quite good on the PC Engine. A very good port. And a lot of the Sega Super Scaler games are quite good, like Outrun and like Space Harrier are actually quite good, and in some ways are closer than the actual Sega versions that are knocking around at the time. I really like Final Match Tennis. That is a freaking amazing tennis game and a really good sports game in general. So yeah, and but I think I mainly remember it for just people talking, reading about it in CVG, mainly the Turbo Express. I also had one of them as well at one stage, but they have really bad capacitors as well, or a PC Engine GT as they're called. I think you've had one of them in the store as well, haven't you?
Was that the portable one? What was the portable one? Yeah,
yeah.
Because we've had that in 2 or 3 times, and that's been quite impressive. So
it's got a brilliant screen. I don't mean like modded, but the actual screen was great already. It was like an active matrix or a TFT screen.
I think it almost sort of brings it round to back where we started, because you had the portable TurboGrafx and the PC Engine, and I was just thinking to myself, well, actually, God, that was amazing. You could play games you can play on your TV. You can actually, take them out and then play them when you're out on the road. out on the bus or something. And then that was what we're talking about at the start. Well, actually, yeah, the Nomad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I think they did it first, didn't they? It was like
yeah. And the game was so nice and small. It's like credit card size, and
it's not huge.
Good.
It's sort of the same shape as a Game Boy, isn't it? As in the original DMG one. And it runs literally whatever game you could run on a Turbo Graphics, or a PC Engine. You can just play it. Like the big thing was, it was the only way you could play a portable Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
I don't mean like a Tiger handheld, like LCD one, a real full-on Street Fighter 2. You could play it on the go on that thing. That blew my mind in like 92 or whatever it was when I read about it.
And you could play the Game Boy. You could play the Game Boy version of Street Fighter 2.
I think that came out about... That came out... Well, that was weird, wasn't it? That came out about 95 or something. It was a lot later, but it wasn't... It was basically like a very cut-down version of it, wasn't it?
But wasn't there a Game Boy Color version of Street Fighter Alpha?
Alpha, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good, yeah, really good. Yeah. But yeah, the Turbo Duo, or the Turbo Graphics version. Well, it didn't actually come out in America, did it? You had to get the PC Engine was the one, and it had that cartridge that had a big bulge on it. Or cards. They came on cards, didn't they? Or Hue cards. But yeah, and the good thing about the CD, talks about region locking, the PC Engine CD and Turbo Duo CD is that's region free, and you can just burn discs and run them. So yeah, had quite a few like Amiga sort of type games on it as well. You got like Falcon 3.0, I think, was on there, which is quite a good Amiga flight sim. That was on the Turbo Duo. And there was some like point and click stuff, like It Came from the Desert, which is also an Amiga game.
Yeah, they had quite a few.
That was on there.
Sort of, I want to say RPG, not RPGs, but more, I don't know, sort of mystery type games. I want to think of the Sherlock Holmes ones, things like that. So there's games on there that you couldn't really get on other systems, but maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it had more colours as well. It had a lot more colours, didn't it, than the Mega Drive? So the video, when they were like an FMV game, would look a little bit better, I think, on the Turbo CD. But yeah, I haven't got one at all at the moment, so I'll probably be on the lookout for one of them in the not too distant future.
I think I need to go and have my dinner now.
Is it Dinny's time?
It is, yeah. I can
stand that by your other half.
Something good cooking.
Well, I think we've bored everybody now, haven't we? We're nearly hitting an hour. Over an hour, actually. So where can you find us then, Stu, if you want to?
Right. Well, I'm at home at the moment. Did I do that joke last week?
Do it every week. It's fine.
I'll do it every week, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right. You can find us on our website, which is consoleshock.net.
Indeed.
You can find us on Facebook at Console Shock. Just search that, you'll find us. And then you can find us on things like iTunes.
Tunes of the Eye.
Exactly. You can find us on there. You can find us on YouTube if you type in Console Shock. I believe Stitcher as well. Yes. So wherever you are,
all over,
you can get Stuart and Trev coming in your
Good McNeil. Indeed. That's a lovely way of putting it. Right, so thank you for watching, everybody. Going to be back in another couple of weeks with a new episode, so stay tuned for that. Check us out at our various links that Stu has just told you about, and they're probably sick of hearing. But thanks a lot, guys, for listening, and see you again soon.
No problem. See ya.
Bye.